So, guys, I finally got around to watching this weird stop motion 2023. To be honest, I didn't have high expectations at first, but after stumbling across a bunch of discussions online, my interest was piqued. I mean, how can you not be intrigued? Something about dark puppet business, stop motion horror, and even psychological horror on top. Anyway, I sat down, turned it on, and let's just say I was expecting something different. Let's start with the good stuff so we don't jump right into the negatives. The film impresses with its visuals from the very first frame. There's this sense of gritty realism where the characters practically exist in their dark universe, and you're right there with them. I particularly like the stop-motion scenes. These meaty puppets and that strange, slightly creepy animation, it really gives you goosebumps. I also can't skip praising the makeup and effects. If you're a fan of solid body horror with shocking elements, you'll probably enjoy this one. But what really threw me off was the storytelling. You know when a movie tries to be smart but gets so caught up in its artistry that it loses its core? That's what happens here. Essentially, we've got a decent story about a woman struggling with the burden of her relationship with her mother, trying to find her way in the animation world while slowly going insane. And it could have been great if it didn't constantly feel like the filmmakers were trying to show us something deep, but in the end, it's hollow. Personally, I just felt tired by the end. The lead actress, Aisling Franciosi, does a great job with her role. I wouldn't say her character is super memorable, but she does a convincing job portraying the descent into madness. I especially liked her interactions with this strange little girl who suddenly appears in her life and basically pushes her down this dark path to total insanity. But the story, again, something was missing. About halfway through, you start realizing where things are headed. And here's where I'll start complaining about the main flaw: predictability. I don't know, maybe I've watched too many films like this, but the ending didn't surprise me at all. It's like when they promise you some mystical twist, and you're just like, oh, right, I know what's coming next. And then it happens. The plot lacked that element of surprise or any truly fresh idea. Another thing that bothered me was the choppy pacing. The beginning is pretty energetic, especially when the protagonist starts exploring her creativity and moves into her own place. But then come these dragged-out scenes that lead nowhere. In particular, the scenes with her boyfriend, who basically just exists for the sake of it. And it's not just those scenes, but the overall pacing of the movie. It speeds up, then slows down dramatically. I get that this was done to emphasize the atmosphere of madness and metaphor, but honestly, it makes you want to more than feel nervous. Now, about the dumb plot choices. Like the boyfriend's sister, who appears halfway through the film. Why is she even there? It feels like the screenwriter just needed to fill some screen time. And the ending, once again, it's logical, but it doesn't evoke much emotion. You know how it is. The movie ends, and you're sitting there thinking, that's it? This is what I sat through over an hour for. But okay, back to the good stuff. Like I said, the film's visual aspect is top-notch. The stop motion genuinely gives you chills. I especially like the scenes with these weird puppets that seem alive, but are freakishly eerie. There's something primal and unsettling about them, like the dead coming to life right before your eyes. Plus, the camera work and lighting really emphasize that discomfort, so kudos to the creators here. As for the psychological aspect of the film, it's not so straightforward. On one hand, I like the idea that the main conflict revolves around the mother-daughter relationship. That's always an interesting topic, especially when a relationship is so toxic and destructive. But the problem is, this sense of depth in their relationship gets lost when the film tries too hard to dive into metaphors and symbolism. By the end, you forget why this drama even started in the first place. So overall, the film is a mixed bag. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but it's far from being anything great. It does its job, it scares, creeps you out, and even makes you think at times, but it lacks that spark. Maybe if the creators had focused less on the metaphors and more on fleshing out the characters, it could have been a much stronger movie. Final verdict. It's worth watching, especially if you're more into dark atmospheres and want to give your nerves a tickle with strange visual images rather than just getting scared. But I doubt it's something you'll want to watch again. One viewing, and that's enough. P.S. If you're a stop-motion fan or just enjoy films with a unique presentation, you might like this one. But don't expect anything mind-blowingly original. It's pretty much what you'd expect. And if you're looking for something more emotionally charged and unpredictable, you might want to keep looking elsewhere.